She engaged in not consensual sex while at a student conference. What is not consensual sex? I don't know what not consensual sex is. I don't know what whoa, I got a call. I got a ringing here. I guess maybe I fixed something on my calling, but why am I ringing? Well, let's see where the ringing goes, shall we? Let's see if the person answers, or do I have to answer? Hold on, let me answer. Do I have to answer? No. In any case, it says problem with recording device again. So I apologize. I don't know what that means. Now all of a sudden, my computer's calling people. Interesting. Hey, this is live radio here, folks. So anything can happen. I don't have anybody in here helping me with all this stuff. So, but we will, trust me, we will get that issue fixed, and we'll get it fixed by next week, by Monday. So you'll be able to call back in. I don't know why all of a sudden all this stuff doesn't work when it worked quite well before, and all of a sudden it doesn't. It's kind of like Facebook. On your privacy settings, you think you got everything all set and you set in stone and you're ready and you're, continue on with your life and in your Facebook life. And next thing you know, things happen that you didn't do anything for, but Facebook made some changes and all of a sudden your settings are no longer valid. And you start getting all this stuff from weirdos and everything. And you're, why the hell am I getting all this? And you go and you find out all your settings have been changed. Maybe there's some setting here that has been changed that I don't know about that I can't seem to find and fix. So, but we'll get it all straightened out for Monday. That's what weekends are for, right? Fixing all your problems of the week. No, that's not what weekends are for. No. Okay. Anyway, back to our story. Annie Tariba, Teriba, or Tariba, or Tariba. It doesn't sound good any way you pronounce it. Appears to have sterling credentials as an activist. Well, how sterling can your credentials be if you are admitting that you engaged in not consensual sex? In any event, she edited the journal No Heterox, Heterox. And it's got a double asterisk. I don't know what that means. She targeted at Oxford's queer and trans communities. Was a member of the Black Students Committee for the UK's National Union of Students. I'm sorry. I failed to mention she's a black female. She's a black British female, evidently. And worked as a racial equality officer at Oxford. See, I know I'm part black and part Native American, and I don't see skin color. I mean, that's... I see her picture here, and I will post this on Facebook. But I see her picture, and that's not the first thing that came to mind to me when I saw her. Now, isn't that kind of interesting? I'm a conservative. We're supposed to all be racist. And the first thing that I notice is that she's just a woman. I don't notice that she's a black female, and I didn't mention that to you because it didn't occur to me to mention that to you. And then I'm reading the story to you, and then it occurs to me, oh yeah, right, that's right, she's black. But that doesn't mean anything. That has no bearing on the story, and it shouldn't. But just so you know, she's a black female who apparently is British. And yes, England has, black people too, obviously and evidently. But I find it interesting that oftentimes when I'm talking to other conservatives, and we're talking about issues or people doing certain things, especially if they're liberal, you know what is rarely mentioned? It's rarely mentioned their ethnicity. I rarely. Yeah, when we're talking about Muslims, we mention Muslims because that's an important aspect. But in other stuff, when it barely comes, the ethnicity of the person barely comes up, and it's usually an afterthought. It's not the first thing that's mentioned. It's not the second thing that's mentioned. It's not even a third thing that's mentioned usually. And it's just this person's a criminal. And you see the picture. Oh, is black. Oh yeah. They're black. Whatever. Or they're is Muslim or something. I don't know. They're non-white or they're white or what have. The color of their skin is not an issue, and yet we constantly hear from the liberals that that's all that the right is concerned about is the color of the skin of somebody else. But yet, when we're talking about important issues, that's not the first thing that comes up. But when you're talking to Democrats and liberals, that is almost always the first thing that comes up when they're not talking about another white person. The melatonin level of somebody's skin. They're the ones that bring it up constantly. I find that interesting. As Spock would say, fascinating. But she worked as a racial equality officer at Oxford. Now, recently she helped lead a campaign to tear down a campus statue of Cecil Rhodes, whose estate funds the prestigious Rhodes Scholarship. I don't know why. She once moved another student to tears by attacking an Arabian Nights themed party as racist. And she once wrote an editorial decrying the endemic problem of rape culture on campus. So liberals are not just nut jobs here in the USA, as I have mentioned. Liberals are nut jobs all over the planet. No matter where they are, they're nut jobs. Sorry, but they are. They're just total, complete nut jobs. But the story continues. But now it turns out that Tariba may have been the cause of the so-called rape culture, not its victim. Recently, Tariba announced she is resigning all her positions and stepping away from her political campaigns. She offered an explanation on Facebook that was later deleted, but not before it was copied by the student publication Sherwell. Cherwell. Besides explaining her departure, the post also serves as a particular act of political immolation. At this year's NUS Black Student Conference, I had sex with someone, Tariba said, according to The Guardian. The other party later informed me that the sex was not consensual. She said, I failed to properly establish consent before every act. I apologize sincerely and profoundly for my actions. Sounds like she's a victim of her own liberal idiocy. It sounds like she's a victim of, let me repeat that, she's a victim of her own liberal idiocy. Now last month, you had some guidelines that were issued about consensual sex. And one of the guidelines that was issued that was stated, and I can't remember, which publication this came out in, but this for college campi across the country. It stated that if a man and a woman are both drunk, let me repeat, if a man and a woman are both drunk and have sex, then the man has committed rape. But wait, they're both drunk. But the man still committed rape. Why? Because he would have been unable to get a sober, positive response from the drunk female to continue the sexual act. In other words, the man is supposed to be sober and the woman is supposed to be sober, so that everything that the guy does, he's supposed to ask before, can I kiss you? Yes. Can I kiss your neck? Yes. Can I kiss your chest? Yes. Can I kiss down there? Yes. And then they're supposed to ask, according to these anti-rape people, before you do every single act. And you're supposed to ask the female. But obviously, they were assuming that when the female is having sex with somebody, it's going to be another male. So that means that the male is responsible for asking at every single point in the encounter, which is how they come up with the notion with, if both the male and female, if they're both drunk and they have sex, then the man is the one who has committed rape. So evidently, because of this, I'm going to assume, because of this, what I just said, that she was having sex with another female. And because she didn't obviously ask at every particular point in the encounter, that it is now construed to be rape. Now, I'm not making fun of rape. Don't get me wrong. I am not making fun of rape. I'm making fun of the stupidity and the idiocy of how they conclude this, that even one of their own would be ensnared in this stupidity. And that's what it is. Look, do you know what this sets up? This sets up the whole point that, if the wife doesn't consent to every single act because the husband didn't ask to do every single thing to the woman, that now there's rape within a marriage. Don't doubt me that that's where this is going. Notice, however, that when it comes to male encounters, male and male, there's no room for rape. Notice when there's an encounter, male on female, and the female's the aggressor, there's no room for rape. Rape, according to these idiots, only happens to women. Doesn't happen to men. It doesn't happen, when a female does it to a man. It doesn't happen when a man does it to a man. No. It only happens when a man does it to a woman. And evidently now it only happens when a woman does it to a woman. So only the woman can be raped, evidently. And that is a notion that does not bring about answers on how to stop rape, period. When you start this is a very serious subject. When you start introducing idiocy like this, it defiles the real problem that they say they're trying to solve. It only makes it worse, and then it cheapens it to such a point where, well, geez, a guy just says, well, geez, if I just touch a woman without asking her first, I guess that's rape. So I'm like, that there's no such thing as rape, or rape is stupid. I'm telling you, it doesn't help the real problem of rape. As if, just like, we have a problem with rape all across, college campuses. And we find out that there's no problem. That a lot of these nationalized cases where these lacrosse players and football players and everything are being accused of rape, there is no rape that occurred. And then there's an admittance that there has been no rape. And what happens? Well, maybe they didn't do it. But this is such an important issue that we had to bring the story forward because we know it's happening. And it's not happening. Nowhere near the numbers that the left tells us it's happening. Now, let me ask you on a logical basis, if you cry wolf, who's going to believe you when something real happens? Well, nobody. So how are you actually going to be able to address the real problem? Well, you can't. And then eventually, some people may say this is a good thing, you stupid, idiotic liberals get ensnared in the trap that you set for us conservatives. No, that's not a bad thing either.